my name is Pascal. Today we are going to talk about different options where to put your home gym in your house or in your apartment. If you want to learn more, then please follow the links in the description box below to my website or to the vendors of my choice. But without further ado, let's go into the details. First space to put your home gym in would be the attic. Now, it depends on whether the attic is already converted or not, but there are some pros to putting it there. So for example, that room is usually the highest up and therefore easier to secure for the children than others, because there is already obstacles like different flights of stairs. So you can get stair gates on it. Not everybody wants to get to the top. And usually these rooms are also not great for living in because it can get rather hot. So if you don't use your attic for a home office, you might want to put your home gym into it. However, I personally think that the attic is one of the least favorable places to put your home gym in for a couple of reasons. First of all, often in attic conversions, the roof is slanted. So if you're very tall or if you want to do any overhead work with a barbell or with a kettlebell or any kind of other exercises, jump rope, you won't be able to do that because the ceiling is just too low. Another big disadvantage of putting the gym in the attic is that you will hear the sound through the entire house. So any weight being dropped, any jump rope skipping, any kind of treadmill pounding that you have usually travels through the entire structure of the house down to the ground. So if you have people sleeping beneath you, or if you have a busy household, then the attic is really one of the least favorable places to put it. In an urban area, you might have no other choice because there is no garden and there is no basement and there is no other solution than going up. However, if you can avoid it, because attic conversions are also, if you just convert the attic to put a gym in, are rather expensive and complicated to do because it involves the roof. So therefore the attic, I would discourage you from it if you have other options. Next option to store your home gym in would be the utility room. And I think for a lot of people, the utility room might be the best option. Now, why am I saying that? Most people will want to lose weight and tone up to be more healthy or look more attractive to the other sex, or a combination of all of that. Mostly, you can already cover those bases with a good diet or with eating less, let's put it this way, and with regular exercise. For all of that, you need maybe a pair of runners, a pair of kettlebells, maybe a jump rope, but that's it. And all of that can be easily stored in a utility room or somewhere under the stairs or in a wardrobe, depending on how your space is laid out. It doesn't really need a lot to be fit and healthy and look good, as long as you are disciplined, consistent, take care of your diet, and also push yourself to the limits, or at least have a certain amount of intensity in your workouts with each session. So the utility room is probably the best for most people to store some little pieces of equipment in to get the basics covered. Next space to talk about is the garden. Now, as long as you have a garden and you're also not really using it for recreational purposes, I think a garden is great to put a home gym in. The main question mark around the garden will be how much the structure will cost that you put there to put the home gym in. Now, there is all kinds of options here from 20,000 to 30,000, which will buy you an entire room, including running water and heating, maybe even a shower in it. So that is really the high class option for The Rock and any other Hollywood stars who just want to have their gym away from the house. The more common option would be to get a shed that is made of wood from your local home store. So these sheds usually run somewhere between 500 to 2,000 depending on what type of shed you're getting. The main point about these sheds is how to insulate them so that you won't be cold, and how to heat them from the inside. So that brings me back to one of the points that I often drive home. If you build a home gym like mine for heavy lifting, really think about the structure where you put it in first. What are you going to do with the walls? What are you going to do with the floors? Where will be the plugs? Where will you put your cabling? And also what kind of tiling, horse mats, etc. will you actually use? Because the more you plan that stuff, the less it will cost. And this is usually the part that people will get wrong and have to do do-overs. That was the case with myself. If you're not really a handyman, maybe get a professional in, because they'll do it once and properly, rather than you yourself doing it often and not that well. So the garden is great. It is also away from the main structure where you're living, so that means no problem, or at least a lot less problems with noise. If you are already building the structure outside, also lay a path to it, because otherwise you'll carry in the dirt and the wet, or get wet and dirty yourself when you're getting out in and out of the garden. And believe me, that will be a bit of friction, especially if you're living with other people in the house who want to keep it clean. So if you're already building a garden, gym and a shed or structure for it, then don't forget to lay a path to it to avoid the dirt coming in, because while you're at it, why not have it done? The next possible place to put your home gym in is a garage, and I personally think on a general basis the garage is probably the best place to put your home gym in. Now, why is that? Because the garage is usually already a well insulated place. There's also usually electricity in it. There is also a ceiling height that is sufficient, it is broad enough, and once you've cleared out of all of the clutter out of the garage, you have plenty of space to put heavy equipment in and drill it to the floor. Another bonus is that also the noise usually doesn't really travel through the entire main house when you are exercising in a garage. And you also already have concrete flooring. So all of the problems with insulation and electricity and water that you might have to get to a garden gym are way less likely to occur with a garage gym. So if you have the structure, and if you're not parking your car in the garage anyway, then I think that is the best place to put a gym in, because then also you can just open the garage door to go out for a run. So, you know, that you really got a lot of options with the garage gym, as long as you don't park the car in it. Just get all of the crap that is cluttering the space up anyway out of the gym. That is usually also a good opportunity to make some money, because if it's something in the garage that you haven't used for a year, why is it still there? Probably you want to sell it. The second best option to put your home gym in is the basement. Now, why is it worse than a garage? Well, first of all, do you have a basement? I think overall in the world there are more houses with garages than with basements, because basements are pretty expensive to do and to dig. So not all of the houses that you're possibly going to live in will have a basement. Especially here in Ireland, where I'm living, a basement is really unusual. In Germany, where I'm originally from, it is more likely that there is a basement, but overall, I would say that there are way less houses worldwide that have a basement versus not having a basement. So the likelihood that you won't even have a basement to consider is higher than actually just having a garage. Now, the other thing is, if you compare a garage and a basement, what is harder to do with a basement is natural light. It's almost impossible to get any natural light into a basement, and seating height. So garages are usually designed to drive a car in. Most racks are not really that much higher than a car, or at least a Jeep. So the garage that you're having will most likely already be tall enough to do some overhead work and also to get a rack in. Not the case with basements. With basements, the ceilings can be rather low, and if it's rather low, then it will be cramped and you might not be able to do all the exercises that you want to do. So that is why I'm saying that a basement is a bit better than, a bit worse than a garage to put your stuff in. Of course, still, it is kind of a coin toss between the two, because if you still want the garage for the car, then that only leaves you with the basement, and it ain't that much worse as long as there is no moist. If there's moist in the basement that you have, that is usually not great, and you also can't really get rid of it. So again, I think personally that garages, especially if you don't park your car in them, are the best option to put your home gym in. If you have a basement, what are you using it for? How is it with the light, natural light, the ceiling height, and the moisture? If that is on par with the garage, then maybe keep the garage for the car and for storing the bicycles in, so that you can easily get them out in the summer to do whatever kind of activities you want to do. But otherwise, go to the garage if the basement really has low ceilings, no light and moisture in them, which is not unlikely. Last space to put your home gym in is probably the bedroom. Now that is mainly reserved for home gym solutions that can fold up and be put under the bed. Now I'm personally thinking of treadmills that are not really that sturdy, that are mainly for walking, or a total gym or any kind of other contraption for exercising at home that can be folded up and put under the bed. Personally, I think if you're not exercising that hard and that often, yes, then get a walking treadmill that can be fitted under the bed. However, most bedrooms will have a wardrobe, a pretty big bed in them. Then you have tables, side tables. You maybe have some other stuff. Maybe even you have your workstation within the bedroom, depending on how the layout is and with how many people you're living together. So can you really fit a gym in there that folds under the bed? I don't know. And then the other point about that is also all things that are foldable and can be minimized in some kind of way, that compromises the structure of the exercise equipment and it's not as stable. So what I also see happen often is that these things break at one of the movable parts and then they're rendered useless. So think about these things before buying. I think a walking treadmill that fits under the bed is probably the best option. All of the home gym all-in-one kind of solutions where you detach stuff and then fold them up and put them under the bed. Usually you don't fold them up anyway, and if you do it often, it is way more likely to break. And once it breaks, it is a pain to get the replacement parts. So I might be a bit biased because I like my heavy equipment. That is fair enough. But I also think that doesn't detract from that if it is foldable and you fold it often and it is a flimsy structure, it is more likely to break. So bedroom, home gym, I don't think so. But of course, if you're limited in space and if that is the only option you have, or if you only work out occasionally anyway and just want to keep all of the other space to have your car parked or to store things in, well, then be my guest and go with one of those foldable solutions. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe and tell your friends about my channel. Have a very nice day and I hope to see you soon. Bye bye.